Okay, I think we're good. Hold up. There. Ta-da! God, it's been a while, and last time I was on Twitch. We've moved. And we're finally actually playing the game. I pre-ordered this game, and then I just didn't play it, because I wanted to play it on stream, and I wasn't streaming. But we're gonna do it now. I swear this lags.
The Empire of Japan.
Okay.
After opening its doors, a push for cultural transformation brought great waves of Western influence to this far eastern island nation. The revolution washed over the land, making life in the capital exciting and unsettling. It was a period of great change, and some was swept away by the tide.
Well, sorry, Watson.
But for one man, the turbulence of that era was just the beginning of an extraordinary story.
Listen, it wasn't my fault. I didn't do it. I have played the first case of the fan translation of this game, but I have not played the official translation. So, cool. Okay. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be that just beyond the doors to this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan waiting to decide my fate? My man. What? Oh, no, nothing. Save your glares, murderer. Sorry. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a second-year student at the Imperial Yume University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident. And now here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough. He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer. And who are you? I'm this man's lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Lawyer? Yes, and until the judge has given his verdict on the case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue. Technicalities. Look at you. You haven't even graduated yet. Listen. It's fine. And yet I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. He's so high quality. Right, Ryunosuke? Yes, of course. Sorry. What are you apologizing to me for? No, I suppose that wasn't my fault. But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this. I'm sorry. There you go again, apologizing, just like always. But I must say you've been all over the newspaper these past few days. You, my new university professor, murdered in cold blood by student. But obviously, you didn't actually do it, did you? Of course not! You have to believe me, I didn't do it! I could never murder someone. And there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up. Hold your head high. You mean... I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Okay. He's calling me by my first name, which is very appreciated because in the fan translation, he calls me by my full name every time he talks to me. It is a little much. Kazuma Sogi, my best friend, also in his second year at Yuma University. But he's far more clever than I, a star student, in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive, considering he's still an undergraduate. Is not that impressive. The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old, here in Japan anyway. My qualifications don't mean much, yet. He said exactly the same thing 3 days ago. But I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma. Truly. 3 days ago. That's when all this started. Congratulations, Kazuma. It looks like you're going to get to study abroad at last. I know. I've been forever dreaming of this day. Finally, these government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and successes in court. Have you been in court before? You'll be representing Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world. I'm really happy for you, and proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. I want to bring about change in our own legal system. That's why I have to cross the ocean, to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too. Then come with me. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's city of London together. If only it were that simple. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you to English class tomorrow then, partner. My man, we're best homies already and I barely know him. And straight after that, that's when it happened. Got accused of murder. Unfortunate. Oop. Hit my mic with my water bottle. Professor, I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me. But never mind that for now. Asogi? You should go immediately to the judge's chambers. To His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial is a sudden decision. It seems there may be some confusion about procedures today. As a result, I have a speech problem. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at university before. I see. I'll go at once then. I shall accompany you. Alright then, Ryunosuke. I'll see you in the courtroom. Yes, thanks, Kazuma. They actually get to keep their names in this one. Wild, but I mean, you kind of have to, because you can't, they can't really be something else. This is awkward. If I may... Yes, sorry? You must be the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Eugene Mikotoba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. Professor Mikotoba. I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Asogi has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. As such, I feel you should know. Know what? Well, as you've no doubt heard, Asogi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, I'm afraid that permission will be revoked and never granted again. What? As I suspected, you are unaware of this. I had a feeling Asogi may have chosen not to tell you. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered. But I don't understand. Why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas studies. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. I don't believe it. But I didn't do it. I swear it. I'm not a murderer. I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, I can assure you that proving your innocence would be no easy task. You see, there are certain peculiar I can't say it. I know the word. I know it, obviously, but I can't say it. Peculiar, oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna give up. This is a weird trial. Sorry? What do you mean? You'll soon understand once proceedings get underway. But then what should I do? Well, Naturally, I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction. Right, so... As soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do? But what will the question be? Surely not, do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Defendant! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. I'm having fun. We haven't even gotten to the courtroom. I'm having fun. It would seem as some things discussions are to be cut short. So allow me to This is surmise. Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty for failing to appear? Get moving. There's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyway. Rude? Mean? This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dream of studying abroad are over. And what's more, I'll be found guilty of murder. Yeah, that's not... And so, with absolutely no idea of what lay ahead, I embarked on the unforgettable trial. My one and only chance of proving my innocence, the trial that would decide my destiny. So this is a courtroom. The Supreme Court of... I'm sorry, I can't speak. No court in the land has more power. I don't much like the look of those people sitting in the public gallery. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. The powers that have determined that this be a secret trial. A secret trial. A trial this close to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. What? But why? It'll become clear in time. But for now, you need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It's about to begin. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. He's still got that stupid name. Ouchie. Fuck you. Prosecution is ready, Your Excellency. As is the defense. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to trial. As this is an unusual circumstance, I am obligated to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defense in this trial? This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do... I need to answer quickly. What should I do? Obviously, we're gonna listen. We're no fool. Sorry, Kazuma. Your Excellency, no converse. Please send help.
Yes!
Aye. Okay. Calm down. Dude, I don't know. What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, will be defending myself. You'll be... What? Sorry, Kazuma. What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Mika told me everything, just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. You think I won't be able to get you off. No, that's not that, really. It's just that, well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes. I knew that's how you'd feel, which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Professor Mikotowa shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well. The court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well, well. Does the accused admit defeat already, renouncing his own counsel? Really?
Objection!
First objection of the game. Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows that the defendant's innocent is so apparent he's confident he can speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Yes. Exactly. Exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. I realize you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Listen. We didn't know going into this room that we were going to be defending ourselves. Let him be a little bewildered. For a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetuated a most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court of the Judicate... I'm sorry. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct are expected of all present. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency. It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. I'm not a defense attorney. So let's start with the very simplest of questions. Yes. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I'd care to remember. But, wait. I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Ryunosuke? Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank. You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. But I can't even find that. It's simple. You can access the court record with the press of the E button. It's fine. You see the keyboard in front of you in, like, feudal Japan? This is normal. If I find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all in there. I just have to press E for the court record. Alright, there's no time to lose. This is the list of evidence you've collected. Now try switching to people instead with E. You'll find details about the victim in here. When you're done, just press Z to go back. Okay, cool. Kazuma, 23, second year at the university. He's my best friend and despite being a student, unqualified defense lawyer. A medical school professor at the Imperial University, he's an authority in the forensic medicine and Kazuma's mentor, the lead prosecutor of this case, who would appear to have little love for the changes that cultural reformation has brought about. A victim of this case, he was visiting professor of medicine at Yuma University for the British Empire. I'm so sorry that you're dead, Watson. Okay. I'm gonna force myself to call them by their English names. This is gonna be the one time I say Watson instead of Wilson. I gotta give it up. Okay. Remember, everything to do with the current case can be found on the court record. Now, you'd better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the people section of the court record, then press R to present. Try it now.
Yes!
The victim's name was Dr. John Wilson. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England invited to Yuma University 3 years ago. Indeed, which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. And as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. You two are both undergraduates at the university, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honor? Look, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. This case is coming under great scrutiny from my allies on the other side of the world. The court therefore wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Oh dear, look at the time, I'd better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. The British Empire. It's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still. I should go and say hello. So I went over to the professor's table and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Not good. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. How did this professor of medicine, Dr. John Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. The cause of death? Well, obviously that was, Ryunosuke. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. Evidence? But how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now. Jesus, calm down.
Yes!
Well, according to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Learn to read, you imbecile. That's the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry, yes, that's right. The, post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this. This is a so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly... Why am I having so much trouble talking? I mean, I guess it's been a while, but geez. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. The photographic print of the victim has been entered into the court record. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. Well, yeah, because it's a picture. Very well, I'm satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better appraise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. This is it, then. I think it may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes, clearly you're the defense lawyer today, not me, but that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Of course! When he was speaking with you before, he simply said, Kazuma Sogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would greatly be appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in the crazy headband and control the cold stares first. Listen, he can't help it. You think he chooses this? No. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course, my name is Satoru Hosonaga. I'm the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called La Carnival. Okay, it has a much easier name in this translation. I am also currently and actively dying. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. That doesn't mean it's okay. It really should. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants. An eatery 3 days ago. Understood. Hosonaga-san, you will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. I don't like saying the end bits, but sometimes they say it and sometimes they don't, so I feel like I should always say it. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. Perspiring maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 p.m. the day in question. We have few diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it, too. There was hardly anyone else in the place. It was when I was in the kitchen putting away crockery and cutlery. Jeez. Gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student. Yes, that was me. Hold on, let me clarify something here. While I did pick up a gun I found laying on the floor beside the professor, I didn't shoot him. I'm just stupid. Listen.
Objection!
Oh. Sometimes you're just stupid, and that's okay. I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur. But the next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, defendant Naruhodo. Don't worry, Ryunosuke. You'll have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness. Ugh. If I may confirm one point, waiter. Standing beside the victim with a gun in his hand was the same man we see here in court today. I just confirmed it was me. I was just like, yes, that was me, but I didn't do it. I see. In a report from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No. There was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Huh? Wait, what did he just say? There was no one else around that table. What's the matter, Inosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello, there was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, what should I do? Obviously, we're gonna keep doing it.
Yes!
Yes. Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table.
Objection!
Dear me, what are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. I am. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after I'm not? But I'm sure of what I saw. Hosonaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy. No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please, have a look if you'd like to. Let me just see. A sketch of the establishment's layout drawn by yourself, I presume? That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Well, you're clearly a very I don't know, dude. I'm stupid, please. I like smart people games, but I'm very dumb. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well... Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. He's actively dying. Help him. Send him to the doctor. So, the court has now heard I don't know that word. Woo. Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant. The only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we're looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruto. Yes, Your Excellency? If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial. The prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm gonna be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to feel guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? It's just like, you fucking buffoon. Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual, about these peculiarities. I'm sorry, I can't speak. You've said it, Professor Mikutoba said it, and so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. Still like, you fucking idiot. I can't believe you're my homie. You're just so stupid. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Rinosuke. Jesus. Defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is. Indeed. Prosecutor Ouchi, please continue with proceedings. Well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. Ugh. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. That sounds like a death threat a little bit. The prosecution calls its next witnesses. Very well. Officer, bring forth the witnesses at once. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. The great... Yes, Noza. What do you think the pun is for that one? Ayuza Noza. Not his name, but it's a lot easier than the Japanese version, so I will happily accept it. Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the ephemeraries of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Rasute, a humble premises in the 2nd district. Gyoryu Korekuta, at your service. There's so many big words, and I'm so stupid. Please. An antique dealer and a soldier. What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. They must be the diners at the other table that the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon. And not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding the curios with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. I can. It's just hard for me to also say it. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at La Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets La Carnival because it's a high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Alright, I see. Although, to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative. The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearms, sir. I'm a little overwhelmed. Okay. This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. Yeah, sure did. So this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. The soldier was claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you shot the victim dead. Yes. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start. My man's is not, he's not a lawyer. He's just a boy, please. The court will hear your formal testimony, please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Yes, sir. Standing by ready to report, sir. Unsavory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden hero to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Listen, I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. Listen, he wasn't shot from the back. I know that I didn't read the autopsy report this time, but I did last time, and it's obviously, yeah, from a gunshot from the chest. So, my mans, you're kind of lying a little bit. Well, so you, Sergeant Noza, actually witnessed the... I'm dying. Okay, I'm okay. I'm fine. Witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university cadet, sir. The cruel and unforgivable enemy. What times we live in when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of the day. But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Is that really true, Reinosuke? Yes! All I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor like a fucking idiot. I never claimed to be smart. After I'd said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then, when I'm finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant. When I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. So I just picked it the fuck up. It's fine. I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it. So I bent down, and just as I was picking it up... Well, if that's the truth, then there was obviously a criminal in the scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. There is? Reinosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine? Do it now! As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice. Certainly, the testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict of this.
Yes!
Yes, it is your duty. What in the name of the Empire What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? I mean, the defense demands its right to a cross-examination. Dear me, dear me. Let me guess that Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic. Huh? How did he know? The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination? We still have the right to. The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Kazuma's so commanding. My man. You know, case one. It's a little early to be being gay. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses. Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Rinosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means that the soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it. And the key to doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. It's not that hard, I promise. Now let's go, Rinosuke. Don't let them beat you. Alright then, it's all or nothing. Here we go. I know exactly what statement I need to press though. Yeah. It's all right for you, baby. I want to charge or observe the enemy's actions with my own eyes, the black uniform. There we go. Present. The post-mortem. Oops. Hold, I was supposed to push R. I'm stupid. I did do that. What are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of the subordination? Thrusting this wad of papers in my mustache. Inconsistency, sir! I mean, yes! There's a clear inconsistency here. What nonsense! What can this document possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words won't come out. Relatable. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom. This is so frustrating. My man. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spill it out would be an insult to the court. Yeah. Kazuma, what? What are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at the post-mortem report presented by the defense that there's a clear discrepancy here with the surgeon's statement. What? Surgeon Iesa Rosa. Yes, sir, what is it? The statement you just made was this. The black uniformed veracity cadet fired on the English civilian and from the back the cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir. Yes. Yes, you did. But no! Yes, but no! That can't be. Why not, cadet? Because... As is clearly stated in the post-mortem report, fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. I know what these words mean and I can't say them, it just took me a second. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. The photographic print of the victim clearly shows the same thing. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? Your child. He's escaping. What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Which do not agree, Sergeant Noza? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious carnivore steak, sir. What? The last testimony the court heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Surgeon Iesa Noza, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all. That's absurd. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Get him. There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial, just from that one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. But I definitely saw him. The university cadet there, he was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back. I did do that, but I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either? Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Treasure? Indeed, the Hoi era Koban, my prized coin. On each occasion when I visit that restaurant, it is my habitude to place in my bosom pocket a particular trinket of interest from my shop, in the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you. On the day under scrutiny, it was to be the military man that I proffered my Hoi treasure. Believed that he would purchase such a rare find, I did not. But I was presented with little alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, it was there no more. It simply vanished. The Koban vanished? Hunting around under the table I was, in case some mayhap it had fallen there. And then it happened. Sure did. You heard the gunshot, you mean? Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoi treasure. Nothing could distract me. Out of interest. Ugh. I need my water, hold on. Been talking too much, I don't talk very often. Did you find the coin in the end? No. I see. That lamentable day, the precious Hoi Koban was lost to me. No doubt some unscrumptious scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself. As I'm sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Nevertheless, the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British, it would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, prosecutor? Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. I think a wolf is significantly less intimidating. My witnesses have further testimony to make. Explain. Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Ugh. Very well, the court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear? As clear as Kiriko glass, Your Excellency. Yes, sir, at once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify. Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think. Affirmative. The newest member of the Noza family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name, Idol. It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny. My man, now's not the time for jokes. Idol, tension. God damn it. Of course. Just never speak to me again. Your father is about to quell their enemy. Watch and learn, my boy. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man he was, that young lad in the back. That much I myself did see. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out. These testimonies are certainly compelling. Yes, they are. Wait, that's nonsense. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. Please, enough of these outbursts already. But there was a woman. There was a young woman at his table. You must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her.
Objection!
If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies. It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime console? Indeed, of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. As can plainly be seen, there was only one place set. Certainly, based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. Ugh, this doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. Thanks. I don't understand. What's going on here? It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman. The waiter before said the same thing. He maintained that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true. I saw her. I swear that I saw a woman with him. It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to the Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt. These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Takasuchi Ouchi, will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honor. My man, it's okay. It's not all over. How can this be happening? The judge really is ready to rule. Stand tall, Rinosuke. It's not over yet. My man, if what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma. The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witness, but make it quick, understood? Rules can be so unbending at times. Well, yeah. They're rules. Even though I said I was in the prison, it's the same thing. I disagree with that, but that's not what we're going to press. We're going to press them saying that they haven't seen anyone. I'm at the point where I don't remember what to do. Oh, yeah.
Yes!
You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there.
Objection!
As you've been at pains to point out time and time again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. Ugh. If only there'd been more people dining there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know, of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect. Certainly, 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone. Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was? This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant. Had a clinic? Yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th November, noon to past 1 p.m. The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder. What do you think, Ryunosuke? Huh? Well, it's hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for Dr. Wilson's medical report? Obviously.
Yes!
Give it to me. If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern.
Objection!
My man, my man. Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon. You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well. The court will grant the defense's request. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's most disturbing. Fuck you and your rights. That's what he has to say. Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. What we need right now is new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Alright, I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you've forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused. Garekuta-san. Yeah. Okay. I just kind of want to look at my evidence a little bit. Yeah. No. This. I can't look at it. Medical report card from Hada Clinic. That was found in the victim's pocket. Can I... well, I guess I'll save real quick. Yeah, sure. Okay. I don't know how to look at my thing. Gazemo, can I look at my thing? Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information. Yes, my court record. Thank you. Okay. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got. Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it a little more in detail. How exactly? You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear magnifying glasses, and once you can examine, press space and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Use the arrow keys to rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles. By using WASD. You can move the cursor. Right, okay. You can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. The crosshair starts to pulsate. It means you can read it. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. I do too. See if there isn't something new to be learned by examining it in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use the arrow keys watched in space to inspect my areas of the evidence that look suspicious. Right. Card for every visit. Name, Mr. John Wilson. It says how to clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I got the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. I'll never forget it. Never in my whole life. Me and you both, my man. I'm terrified of needles. Passed out. I got my ears pierced recently and I passed the fuck out. It was not good for anyone involved. Most people would give their right arm to have had only one cold in the whole life. Listen, needles suck. I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. Boop, 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 boop. It looks like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of long-term treatment, that's why. With the family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'll never consult one. If you were dead, there'd be no point. So you don't like doctors, then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible tasting medicine, they give you painful injections, they're not that painful. And then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege. All when you're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient. The bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is very bitter medicine indeed. Sorry. Oh hey, I got an achievement. Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. And there's an entry for the day the prosecutor... the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. Although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. There's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours per procedure until anesthesia effects have passed, because you will just perish. So, obviously, it wasn't a mistake. It's new information. The meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely. Boo. No. Present. He was not alone.
Yes!
Well, I think, what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer? I wish I could, but first and foremost here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke, everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. My man is so pure. I would die for him. He's so pure. Please. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you've had to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright. And thanks for the advice. Hold on. Let me do something real quick. Whoops. gotta fix this. There we go. That's better. Okay, we're fine. I fixed it. It's fine. Sorry for the menu. I had to fix it. Okay. I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement. Something clearly doesn't add up. Dear me, have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. But that's, remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. He's so nice. He's so nice. Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There's surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court have heard have been clear and concise. The medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil that could have perpetuated the crime. The medical report card has nothing to do with the case? You fucking idiot. Do you really believe that? The outburst half petrified. That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hata Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted. What's this now? And furthermore, if I told you that as a result, the victim had been forbidden from eating. Just what are you trying to say, cadet? He had orders not to eat, so what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't be. Garekuta-san. What, boy? What? As you just heard, when he was killed, sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. No. And additionally, there's more? You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of anesthesia. Expertly done, partner. We're figuring it out. What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at the photographic evidence. There was a steak. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table. Use your head! That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic? How dare you? I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. I'm gonna kill Cosmo. He's a sweet boy, precious angel man. But he also needs to stop. Never speak to me again. Yes, most definitely. So having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which is one very crucial conundrum. Who in fact was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense in this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel. Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning the trial around. Show them what you're made of. I don't know why I read that as slow. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been the victim himself. Me, I was visiting. The two witnesses, and as of yet unknown third party. Obviously. Obviously, it can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table. You'll not let this go, will you? There was no such person. There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court says to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial relentlessly. Kazuma, are you insane? You would take on the government? Yeah, for his homie, for his fucking boyfriend. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issue with them. Those two witnesses in the stand. What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So if it is now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you'll be charged with perjury. Perjury? And since this is a murder trial, you'll also be deemed complicit in the killing. Complicit in murder? No! Negative. There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. Oh. What? What did you just say, Kuriguda-san? Oh, no. You were just following orders? Now hold on, lad. Say you never saw the gentlewoman. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What?
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? These witnesses gave false statements? Is this true, you pair? I think it's, yeah, I think it's true. Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order! Counsel, explain what's going on here. It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. My man. Then who is behind it? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? Well, that's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to murder, are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Ryunosuke? Judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Ouchie had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? If we can infer who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouth shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we can make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly... Remember having made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. Okay. I want answers. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe. Wait, Your Excellency, I have no idea what any of this is. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god, I knew nothing. And what does the defense have to say about all this, Well, Your Excellency, no time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first thing that comes to my head. Or, we'll go to the court record. Yeah, all of them I can examine now. Great. Fantastic. Important. Definitely. Our personal student number is engraved on the back here. If you lose your pin, they won't accept you as a UMA student at the university. You may not come in, they say. They better not, or I'm gonna have to deck them. Of course, you can get a new pin if you made if you just tell them your number. I've actually lost mine twice already, but I still don't know my student number by heart. 00901. Okay. I always say to myself, I mustn't forget to write it down somewhere. But then I forget not to forget that. Me too. God. Right. Oh. The symbol of Yuma University. Every student wears this pen with pride. It's funny, but most emblems seem to be either round or rectangular. I like the spike design, even though it doesn't really make any sense. Although it does cause problems. Lots of students end up cutting their fingers on the blade. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders. A sharp pin for a sharp mind or something. Well, they didn't quite think that one all the way through if that was the idea. Okay, anyway. I don't... Yeah. Again, no, I don't think so. Wilson. Boop, boop, boop. This play in a restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative position of everything in the moments following the incident. But there's nothing to show the woman you say you saw. Exactly! And that's not all. Look here in the upper left where it says kitchen. Oh, yes, what of it? No one would use those complicated characters to write kitchen, especially not if they were in a hurry. You mean you don't remember those characters yourself, don't you? Study harder, Reinosuke. Listen. Just... My man, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Oh, it's the other. Well, I guess that makes sense. That's unexpected. What is? Look, do you see it say... Do you see it? Do you see it says the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga. Well, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected. It's his job title. His job? Oh! Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector. What on earth? I have no idea. But let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence. If they're wielding it somehow here. The waiter's business card information has been updated. Yes. Okay. So I have to close my eyes and shout the befitting first name that comes into my head. But I know now, it's not just the first name that comes into my head. I know. Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... my man.
Yes!
Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san, the waiter who took the stand earlier?
Objection!
Poppycock, what possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even a head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If, that is, the man truly were a waiter. If he truly were... Come on, Ryunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth. Deck him with the truth. Oops, I accidentally inspected it.
Yes!
The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question. I agree shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure what we can conclude it. Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's the interest. I beg your pardon? Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes! It's the front of the back of the card! That's where the telling detail is! Bud, sweetheart, light of my life. Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Hosonaga-san sketches the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of the business card reveals the man in question's profession. His true profession. The waiter's profession? That's surely... Good gracious! That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power, absolute power, as far as regular citizens are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend! I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. Yeah, I remember when we asked you to submit your cord. Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course, here you are. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. Strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my it's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake. So, you mean to say, you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Of course, your salary must be terrible. I was working undercover. Don't come for me like that. Undercover? Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga. But you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. Oof, hold on. There we go. If that is indeed true, clearly you would have been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable! As I suspected. Jesus Christ, you're trying to jump scare me there? As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as a primary suspect? Well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right. possibility does spring to mind? What do you mean, Cosmo? Yuma University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain, and I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory, is a young Englishwoman. What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean, when I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Giselle Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yuma University's medical faculty. What is happening here? I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to your excellency to decide how to deal with the situation. Very well, my thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we now have discovered that this premise is false, it would be a discretion of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point. But, Your Excellency, that would be missing the new deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government would surely be displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, sir? You will locate this Giselle Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it wouldn't be a problem? Nothing will get in my way. Not even actively dying. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student Giselle Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes, good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. 30-minute recess. Damn. To be continued, but we're gonna just keep going. Obviously. Oh. It doesn't let you save over that? It doesn't let you save over the autosave. Weird. Weird. Okay. We were in that court. Hold on. We went in at 9. We were in for 2.5 hours. Jeez. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you'd started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain. Is she? But that's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my prowess at observation are one thing I'm sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. Then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after I bent down and picked it up, boom. I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. There you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy, a justice system even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I want you to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study toward the Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma! Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. And you're probably aware Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Defendant Naruhodo, court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a real decisive blow. Before those old fossils know what's hitting them. My man, stop insulting literally everyone. Kazuma? What? Thank you, really. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I'd have already been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. My man, we stand my man. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's just the kind of friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. Do we have any money? Do we have any money? Do we need money? I have several questions. hereby resumes the trial of Rinosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Ouchi, have you managed to subpoena the witness? Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about. It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down on our nation's founders? Okay. Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Rinosuke. What do you mean? A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses? Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England? Shut up! Shut up, you jumped up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there's one thing I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Well said, Rinosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror. Listen. We're trying our best. Listen. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the precedence of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. A visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett. My man, stop hitting your head on the table. It's gotta hurt. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea, someone bring English tea. In England, no discussion takes place without tea. Is that true? No idea. So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course! My name is Satoru Husanaga. I've been working undercover as the head waiter at the Lock-On Narval, but my true— Yes, we know about you! Inspector Husanaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today, you said something to me. You said your powers of observations are the only thing you're sure of. Yeah, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Rinosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. I cannot read that. I know it says something, but I don't know what it says. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but what? The lady says your name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student currently enrolled in Yuma University's medical faculty. Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as hummingbird song. English is not a very pretty language. Sorry, my man, but you're wrong. As far as I can tell, the detective was translating her words faithfully enough. Yeah, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Cosimo. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention to your English classes, Ryunosuke. Ugh. My man, stop flirting. We've got shit to do. The court thanks you, beautiful lady, for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. I think a murder taking place right in front of you is more important than a school presentation. I'm just saying. I was just following special orders from the bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Look at this dead man. Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? I can't read normal cursive, bro. Apparently it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say? Yes, it would appear that the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Listen, I didn't shoot anyone. I'd be surprised if I knew how. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. You're right. Unfortunately, I'll have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. Frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. Right. Okay. This is a condemning testimony. Yes! No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all. Quiet, you filthy wench. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard, and look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. Ugh. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. There's a lesson you need to learn. But he's annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took a statement from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so. On the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there's nowhere about her person she could conceal a firearm, except every single part of her outfit, all of it. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Exactly! Unless and until the precise location where the witnesses to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. It wouldn't really be hiding if it was in a pocket. But you don't need... These are the witnesses' own words on the matter. That's ridiculous! If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there. You're right about that, which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Yes, Your Excellency. Okay, let's see if anything's weird. Frightening and sorrowful sight. On that day, the professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself at beef steak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor and they got into an argument. And not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. She's maintaining that you got into an argument with the professor, at the end of which you shot him. Which is an out-and-out, totally unfounded lie. Still, her statement is very compelling. After all, she's an elegant, refined, young, and beautiful gentlewoman from Great Britain. In stark contrast to you, just from head to toe in a dull black school uniform. Wait, we're wearing the same thing! Anyway, this is our only chance to expose her testimony as the fiction that it is. If we can't do that, the trial's over. Even you, with your thick skin, must be able to feel the murderous looks you're getting from around the room. Only too well. Feel half dead already. And the fact I can't see a single inconsistency in her testimony isn't making me feel any better either. The first thing to do is press her on any of her statements that seem even slightly off to you. None of them seem slightly off to me, but so I guess I'll just press all of them. That's what I should be aiming for in this cross-examination. You're just gonna press it all.
Yes!
After 2 p.m., in fact. That's really quite a late lunch, isn't it?
Attention!
You don't keep up with the latest fashions for Britain, do you? Late luncheons are in vogue, isn't that right? No. Decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. So it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yes, which we can prove from the medical report card that was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late. Yes, that all makes perfect sense. Such wonderful logic, what a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman has, even though she didn't say anything. So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next?
Yes!
He wasn't able to eat, you say? And that was because he just had a tooth removed at a clinic, correct? That's right. He's supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left. Dear me, what a harrowing experience to have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. Her damn self. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, has nothing to eat or drink at all? That's right, other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes, the professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Reinosuke, about the witness's last statement? It's meaningful. Damn it. The last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case. Well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing? Bud, sweetheart. The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Well, sidestepped, counsel. Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm going to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. Listen. Doing my best. And Professor and I said cheers over a glass of carbonated water. Except there's only one. Yeah. We'll do this one. Present.
Yes!
That's it! Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That is correct, the lady says. Well, it's odd, very odd. Dear me, what's odd is the defense's inability to express itself. Ugh. Listen, we're trying our best and our homie says that's okay. What is it about that print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously it's the cheers. The cheers? Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1. You're quite right, counsel. There's only 1 glass pictured here. Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over... I don't know. What possible difference does the presence of or absence of a glass make on the case? Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. But there should have been 2 glasses on the table, or are you going to try to tell me you can clink with only 1? You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. Inspector, what did the lady say? It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. What? It was also terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I'd been there at all, she's saying. Good gracious. Sorry. I'm sorry for committing a crime. Just having a goofy moment. There's no consequence at all. Oh, please. We must remember that this student had just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before her very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or 2 in her state of disarray? Me. I could blame her. Oh, really? So do we take it that you are now going to accuse this vulnerable, young, and beautiful woman of mischief? What? No, this can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. Because he's the only one here with a brain cell. And we stand because of that. It seemed that she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. A handbag, you say? Yes, Your Excellency. A small handheld pouch commonly carried by a well-to-do woman in England. So the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. The student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end it comes to nothing. He's trying to confuse the court by being logical, and we're just not having it. Not in my courtroom. No more pretentious accusations. You have wasted enough time already. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed the glass. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement? Well, I don't know really. If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. You're right. So she took the glass away in her handbag. If there's a deeper significance there, it's the handbag. Wait! The lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags with small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was that her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You're right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. You can't be seriously suggesting. Inspector Hosonaga! Yes? Did you or did you not search Mr. Zalebrett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir, I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. Order. What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Prosecutor Ouchie? You know what he's talking about. Thanks to your bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. You think so, Kazuma? Don't die. What a sorry situation. Clearly, you have no faith in the police. As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting. Simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary? I ought to think the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. It's a photographic print. I took a picture. This print is of... I can't carry shit. I'm catching his cough. As you can see, which clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Well, I never. You can see right through to what's inside. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. Exactly. So there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Bitch! I won't fight you because you're actively dying, but... rude. Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. Photograph with a handbag has been entered. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness counsel. But it's okay. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. The photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance. I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. And there's only one logical conclusion, that the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime. Sweetie. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student. But the weak are meat while the strong eat. You were wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew onto your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime I didn't commit? And Cosmo, his dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Cosmo, what? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest, which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. Since we'll be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby... Yes! No! I didn't kill anyone, I swear. I don't think you can rule in this case yet. This amateurist is getting tedious. When his excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the court. Yes! Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, so significant detail, I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question. This is blatant stall clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. You'd better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. I am desperate, this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well, I'll grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court within this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded. This weird-ass mark he's got over here, my man. Yes! Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. This is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description. Objection! Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Certainly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of the mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett had a lunch appointment with the dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. He's thinking. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn has something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was really thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case, we can do that. If we can do that, we might be able to prize this shutting... Prize. We might be able to pry this shutting door back open again. Just give up, Council. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed. I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that you irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it. I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what the burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. That. Right? Yeah.
Yes!
What's this, Council? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe the photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is in the photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Yes!
The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnival. This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ryunosuke, you genius! You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that's the case, we can't know if it we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It couldn't have been the day before. It could have been the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture on the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter! There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the surgeon, and the old antique dealer, all of us would have, without question, heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Rinosuke, do you think... Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered from the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was asleep. That would have woken you up. He was dead. No man can remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness. Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim killed by a gunshot. That's right. There's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous play by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor Ouchie. It's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon. As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you'll have to forget your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency, the justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I'm prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. He's like, what the fuck? Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vocal tones as much as possible. Same. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen, so I see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you on your own level. Well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so generously afford us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words. about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. Things are getting 2.5 hours into the trial. Things are getting interesting. We can do it, guys. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report shows no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. There's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace. Please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigation techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Fucking rude. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. Hope this is the last time I'll have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Japanese is way prettier than English. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Not at all, not at all. It's a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to our country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Was that a prayer, then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination for now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I'll be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. Okay. The victim's death. Actually, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. Very...
Yes!
Yes, you're right. Never mind. Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But this country, you investigate once, and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction... Oh! Jesus. You scared me! Osanaga, I'm gonna throw hands. I changed my mind. I'm gonna have to kill you. It doesn't even occur to your native detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. A killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchie is finally starting to see sense. I doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma? What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective. Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then, I wonder what Cousin was thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Bratt on her last statement again.
Yes!
I'm prepared now. I know he's gonna fucking be loud. I won't get spooked, I swear.
Wait.
There we go. There it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Bratt as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the English woman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Rinosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Bratt, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right with A and D, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with space. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with A and D and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with space and see what's on his mind. Here we go.
Wait.
There we go. Hey yo.
Excuse me.
Excuse me? What's the meaning of this? Hey, you were scared of me. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts, deeply. It looks like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say. If there's something you'd like to say, please share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with your testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Bratt? Well, yes, if you don't mind. I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices is not as modern as those using Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. Are you sure? Calm down, bud. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. This is the bottle of carbonated water I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water, I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle, I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. It won't come for a while, my man. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept a glass bottle of water as evidence. Carbonated water bottle has been entered into the court record. Miss Brett? Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes. It was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the question. Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fever. Stop actively dying. It's kind of distracting. Okay. I'm gonna save right here. Because I'm not sure. But... about the bottle.
Yes!
I will. What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order! And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could have possibly done it. Giselle Brett, it was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous. To suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile, have you even considered the delicate situations our country finds itself in? Have you forgotten that we have only just sided in a accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman's British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. If I may, I'll silence you forever for this disgraceful attack. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. Sorry, my lady, to what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector. And whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And? What did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. He's dead again. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. Come on, get up. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecutor has asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Inosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Susato. Our girl, our baby. Please wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, judicial assistant to the defense. Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. In her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. It's our girl. We're gonna keep going, my man. We're gonna finish the trial of this stream. Obviously. Susato. Well, I understand you're the judicial assistant to the defense, but why is this sudden ingress into my courtroom? Okay. A judicial assistant and a woman, no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I only asked for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. You're too late, little girl. The trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency, I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something? Written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical factory and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of Curer and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curer? What's that? I've never heard of that word before. Time's up. The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've surmised what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Zill's report has been entered into the court record. Goodbye then, and good luck. Long enough, Counsel. We cannot contain our English guest any longer. Ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but... well, let's check it out. Poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Instant paralysis of the body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Minute. The above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for their respiratory arrest cause as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. Okay. So either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not. Prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Honor. Inosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency? If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I have to politely decline. Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. So, Counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? Obviously, it's the only new piece of evidence we got.
Yes!
Mrs. Zilbrett, we understand you are studying under Dr. Wilson at Yuma University doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence, perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? A toxin known as Kurer, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Attention!
What complete and utter nonsense! Kurer, you say? I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have... What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of Kurer before, for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist? Correct. Which means, no matter what test the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify Kurer. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? Order. Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report authored by the visiting research student from England, Kurer has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states that this is produced from the extract of the tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle. And it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with Kurer suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Attention!
Trumpery, these aspirations are under trumpery. To start with, if the victim has been administered some of the so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed. It's true? What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible sense of distress is evidence that Kurer was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters the person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible. Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. Poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous. I agree with you for once in your life. To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was sleeping peacefully to an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly Kurer poison. Oof. Oof. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison?
Attention!
This is all very convenient, isn't it? Hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. If I may, All these facts. You think you're so clever, but you must be taught some manners. It is you who must be taught. Of course. So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce their results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. He says, fuck you. Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime, that really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules. What's so funny? That was pretty funny. I'll give her that. That was pretty funny. Excuse me, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes, I don't see, why not? Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. Sorry? To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers. Bitch. The poison enters through a wound. What are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Goodness. Whatever is the matter, you all look quite stunned. So, no career. The bottle was clean, is what you're saying. You look quite incredulous, little boy. But of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of our friendship between our countries. Yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. But this is your third pose. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. That would... I mean, I would listen to the tale, but it would be a strange one. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have killed over dead. Come on, Ryunosuke. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water contains poison. It does. The culprit did put Courier poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious?
Objection!
Fool, are you blind? There's no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. But I believe that complication can be explained. How exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume the supposedly poisoned water unscathed? The report on the poison itself. Yeah. Route of entry, the above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as inflicted by a blowpiper. Obviously.
Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
It's not a valid explanation. No. After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Susada's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? Special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this Kurare poison. This left me curious about something. Counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to release the heads of arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point. But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, counsel. No, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seems a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When Kurare enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew Kurare's special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little is-lives. Rapscallion. Well, Rinosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer?
Objection!
All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it possibly... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with, some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy, and it only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce, Kurare is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus? Oh, yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? So if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? That's right. Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no? Listen, I'm one step ahead of you because I've already done this case. Logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest? Yes, the Kurare poison is completely irrelevant to the case on the trial. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. Cockroach? That's rude. What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Objection!
That was a lot of build-up for a very weak objection. It's like, I'm gonna kill him in cold blood. Objection. Okay, whatever. Moving on. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well there's no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you. You must provide compelling evidence, as we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested. Why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the courier? Because he got his tooth extracted, bitch. Boop, boop.
Take that!
As Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of courier are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. So for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment. So that's it. You use that knowledge to orchestrate this. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly I can't resist. Your childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are also something. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. How old is she? Come on. I'm sick of this. Court record. She's 20. She's a year older than us. You see, when you leave vital evidence laying around, you never know what might happen to it. No! I mean, it could just slip. Oof. How careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. No! What is it? What just happened? It's the English woman. She just smashed the bottle. And in the Supreme Court, what a terrible blunder. Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from the broken bottle as possible at once. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you, it'll soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. Fucking rude! How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in the bottle. Or not. And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution? Oh, of course, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady. That's right. And really, looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So, of course, the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy.
Objection!
We are pretty much the same age. I am asking you to stop. You killed the victim that day using courier. And then in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor in his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Delivered in the cold blood by the accused, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now she's really going to get away with this? The way she destroyed the evidence was obscene. Ryunosuke, yes? We've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it. What? What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend upon. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice that this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. That's also true. So think back again. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. Every color. Blood. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of the same scene in my head. Could there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer? There's a clue. Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I may have uncovered another clue. You always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on, then, let's wipe the smug smile off the Englishwoman's face with some evidence. Alright, I can't wait. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of the day. Whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here somewhere. The clue that shows who Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been is the blood, obviously.
Take that!
Why is your take that better than your objection? Yes? What is it? He's still miles away, probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day.
Objection!
Wait a minute, where are you going with... Where are you going with this, little boy? I'm gonna kill you. It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on. There was a spattering of blood. What? Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and the relevant position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way that blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Yes. For blood to have made it into the plate, it implies that the plate was between the victim and the shooter. Which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor as you were. Giselle Brett. I beg your pardon.
Objection!
This is beyond ridiculous, fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to believe something that accused has apparently just remembered seeing? This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean... Yes, I took the plate, in the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that you have been eating, Miss Bright. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Yeah! My man. We must examine it now. Inspector. The court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. My man. Good guy. Even though he's annoying. Sorry for the delay. Here's what you ordered. The steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood, man! Show the court! Of course. Examine the plate at your leisure. No blood. No blood. No blood anywhere. But no, that's impossible. I know I saw it. I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There was blood on the side of the plate. What an unbecoming expression, little boy. We are the same age. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. I couldn't agree more in the case of this disgrace to the Empire. Listen. Me and Asogi are the only people here that have the ability to think. Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at court is proceedings is painful to watch, but I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it is over. Fourth everything's over post. Sorry looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. If the sorry looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. I will. I will examine it again. Boop, boop, boop. Examine. Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin, and the hallmark is from the Hoei era, I believe. No, I don't mean what is it. I mean, what's it doing there? Good question. Wait, did you say it was a Hoei Koban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time today that there's been talk of a Hoei Koban. I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion and... Osogi, I need you to never speak again, please. I don't think you ever will again. It's extraordinary, though. This means... I certainly never expected to find a precious coin underneath this thick coat of meat. It's from the Hoei era, too. That would make it really quite valuable. It's well marinated in the juices as well, look. What, are you thinking of eating it? No, but the next time I order a steak at an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's going to be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryunosuke. Koban coin underneath the steak. There's only one logical explanation. Yeah, because there's only one... Yeah. This is it now. I've lost. Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward, no matter what. Believe in myself? Really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence. I already did examine the evidence. As evidence requested by the defense has been shown to be problematic. Has not been shown to be problematic in any way. I presume any further examination of evidence in the trial would be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objection? That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? There's another clue. Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth. The only thing that's shocking here is the unhealthy fascination of beefsteak. Listen. Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must assure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled. I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court to what you are alluding. Where precisely on this plate of beefsteak is this new clue to be found? Boop, boop, boop. I already had this conversation, my man.
Got it!
Got it. Good gracious, that's... Koban? What on earth? Ahoy era one at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat?
Shut up!
What a ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it.
Objection!
I fail to see how this is relevant. I'm quite underneath the meat. That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction.
Objection!
Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? As where Hori Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right, it can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency. Yes, Counsel? A rare Hori Koban just happened to be underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now. We don't have a lawyer job. By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway. Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that there's you who is irrelevant. Even though I'm the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that steak. The owner? Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person it can belong to. The owner of the koban that was found underneath the beef. And my man.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and owner of Rasute, Kyoryo Gorekuta-san. Kyuri? As in Mr. Cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military surgeon, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with his koban coin when it happened. At exactly the moment the gun was fired. He was looking for it. He lost it. Then this Hoi or Koban. Do you mean to tell me?
Objection!
No, please. Why would Gorekuta-san's Koban be sandwiched between the victim's beef steak and his plate? It makes no sense.
Yes!
Yes, it doesn't. Which is why I'm asking to bring Gorekuta-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. Can't believe we've come back around to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this koban, we'll find that it's a key element in the case. That's a lot of witnesses. What's all this about? Why have I been called upon again? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Ido? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves. Exploited by the police we were, like miserable dogs, forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Rasute shop owner's existence. Be that as it may, Kurikuta-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasute memory serves, have you ever... Yes, that's it! The very exact one that is. His foot. There was... Holy treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that faithful day. It can't be. As I thought. Young man! Enlighten this decrepit old fool! Put me out of my misery! Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwich with peanut beefsteak in its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat's juices. Sandwich? Soaking? Seriously? Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident. Which means... somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my hoary treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate. Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing? Excuse me. Can I say something? Yeah, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga. I mentioned this earlier on in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. Right. The secret undercover operation. The Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant and attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there has been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. That's why you were sent in undercover, was it? Yes, I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flesh out the criminal. It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief in the work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but... the identity of the person who stole and hid Kurikuta-san's Koban is all too clear. What? What? I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on the matter. Tell us, who is this despicable scoundrel that stole his Koban and hid it under the steak? Our mans. Our mans. Go ahead.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be you. Surgeon Iyasanoza. What? How? How dare you? You monster. Monster? I stole that Koban, did I? I'm the master thief of La Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me. It was Aido. Aido is the mastermind behind all this. You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby? It's you who's the monster, Surgeon Noza. There's a breakdown. Oh, he's dead. Upon Imperial Army Surgeon Iyasanoza compared to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. I don't know why I have such problems with this name. It's a lot simpler than his Japanese one was, but... Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I understand the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place, and I've heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant. The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days, I'd go there and do Renaissance for Target. And I enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. Sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man in his koban? Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the steak I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. Ido, too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could, on the double. I slipped it under the mistake, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time. Well, Miss Brett. Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. Ow. May the esteemed gentleman please be excused, Your Excellency. Indeed. The theft of the koban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant, which certainly appeared to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? Well... As for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Very well. Now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Pratt, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day. He's thunking. Rinosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just... Something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out what exactly, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking, make your voice heard. Sorry? You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it!
Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid just one last time. There's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction?
Objection!
What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Rinosuke? I hit my mic. Sorry. Can I quit it? Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. I'm gonna need to see evidence, counsel. Miss Brett's words truly are contradictory. Where's the evidence to prove it? The steak. The steak.
Take that!
The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed, yes. Go on. More accurately, Your Excellency. The steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about the steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? This is extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Noticed what exactly, counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could ever contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself. Then take a good look at this steak, and particularly the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there.
It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all.
Objection!
But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravishly hungry and couldn't help.
Shut up!
Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course, this will all be over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. Just leave everything. I've heard enough. You irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course. What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Stop talking. Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implication these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Ryunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes. Now at last, it's all come together. The mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the bloodstain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly is suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. Everything? Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been what? Just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist.
Objection!
This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it. I don't, but there is someone who does. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense in this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth about this whole affair? My man.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's... He's dying. No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on the steak with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Noses told the court the following. I didn't enjoy chomping my way through a good steak. And as well as admitting to stealing Korokuta-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, Cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Noza, could you please confirm something with me? Was that steak you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Sure. Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me handling her meal to have something in it. Otherwise, the steak the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nose's meal.
Objection!
But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table.
Objection!
Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly. Surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over. You did switch the plates? He used a singular brain cell. Well, after it happened, when I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately left my stake and hid the coin underneath it. But when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my stake with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have! I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what has to be done. Unbelievable. However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What now? I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform, that is all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
So, if Sergeant knows us switched the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes. Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the surgeon's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both. That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot.
Shut up!
What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat, it can't have the slightest bearing on the case.
Objection!
No, you're not wriggling your way out of this time, lady. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason this steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you, no? You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see the plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Thinks he remembers seeing. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear spattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. My poor man's going through it. All of us, to be honest. Yes, sir. Sorry for keeping you. Here's the other steak in its plate. Please feel free to examine it. I can see the blood right now, my man. The blood stain. It's clearly visible. Look.
Yes!
Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could possibly shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. That's right. Miss Giselle Brett. It's you. We did it, guys. We did it. Outdone by Japanese? Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No. No. Release it. Help it. It is tied down. He needs freedom. You good? We done? Oh. Okay, whatever. I'll just accept it at this point. Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett? I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life using courier. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water, because courier is unheard of here in Japan. Yes. Of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water and it would be all over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of courier in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Yeah, exactly. Under your skirt? So I was right. There were two guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which he had presumably placed on the floor. A place where she was sure I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun. Even though at that point, he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor's chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson for where he'd picked up the gun. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. That is not a misdemeanor. That is first-degree murder. Your Excellency. Yes. I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. No. No. Mm-mm. It would seem this trial has finally run its course. After 3.5 hours. I presume the prosecution is in agreement. This can't be. Takasuchi Ouchi does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student. He'd better start getting used to tougher opposition. Inosuke Naruhodo? Oh, yes? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten. You've become conceited with age, Counsel. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. Damn. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Fucking rude. 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Ouchie clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. And it don't. Well, I believe go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. Thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern method. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world, but the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but what it'll look like I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Sogi? Yes? After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. Naruhodo is slightly concerned with my man not meeting his eyes. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. As for you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo? Oh, yes. In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. We did it! It's time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke, not guilty. Worked hard for that verdict. Petals. This court is now adjourned. Can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. We did. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. No, it was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street, don't forget. Good afternoon. All your hard work has certainly paid off. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Our trusty judicial assistant, you worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do any. Thank you so much! If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Breath, I don't know how things would have turned out. Would have gone to prison. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Yes, of course. Forgive me for intruding on the court proceedings, Your Excellency, Sasada Mikutoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Speaking of Mikutoba... Ah, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you, after all. Your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend? Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikutoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably that's when you met Dr. Wilson? Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now. Besides, it's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world. In science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. This blade shows me where I need to go. And cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me, what's happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit, after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future. For Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Giselle Brett will not appear in court again in this country. I'm certain of that. What? Why not? It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga. It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate... But what's all this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then, who is going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. Why? Why? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we've signed the friendship treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then, so long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke they can't do it. They can't do it. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our government's making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan. I'm afraid that for the young student, today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of upcomings for her. Comeuppance. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But Professor... You're right, this is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having fun. In that case, might I suggest La Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga, aren't you? Let's not worry about details for now. To La Carnival, will you accompany us, Professor? Of course! La Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san, Aurelius. Oh, yes, thank you. So Giselle Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. I would like to know. Like, why? Kazuma. Yes, Ryunosuke? I just wanted to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day, I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it, for being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh no, not me. All that tense verbal combat, I never want to go through that ever again. I did what you told me to do, that's all. Because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Ryunosuke. Do you know what the most crucial weapon in that is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No. The ability to believe. To believe. To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom, you can really be backed into a corner. But being able to remain faithful to what you choose to believe in, even then, well, that's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stopped believing in me. Well, you face seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it. Through your own efforts, and because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. Sounds serious. What is... You're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. You've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. Who should we be celebrating right now? Your first court victory. And your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget! Ah, yes, that too. So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma. Professor Mikutoba. Susato-san, who acted as my assistant. Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still, he helped! He helped! It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. There, we did it! First trial and... Been live for almost 4 hours now. Obviously. Can we... Or does it... Okay, it doesn't start the next one immediately. Cool, cool, cool. Hold on. There. Hey, we did it. I can end the stream. I'm very tired. It's past midnight. Thanks for stopping by if you did. I don't know when the next time I'll be streaming is, but hopefully sooner. I hope to not go on another hiatus. Goodbye.